So, good morning, everyone. We are excited to welcome you to the RigER webinar number 145. And this morning, we are going to be talking about integrations in RigER. What software do we integrate with? How do we do that? And what is it in it for you? Now, about the agenda of today's webinar. So during the webinar, we'll be sharing some new insights about RigER and helping you get the most out of it. We'll be discussing why we can say that RigER is an extension to an ERP, how it differs from an ERP, and what functionality does it add to it. We'll show you what integrations group are there in RigER and what we added to the latest version of RigER 11.5, as well as share with you some integrations examples. Last but not least, we will be sharing some insights into database connector and universal data exchange log. Our presenters today are Michael, our CPO, and Danny, who is an implementation consultant here at RigER.
Thank you, Dasha. Hello, everyone, and let's move forward. So first of all, the question which we usually asked about RigER and ERP and what's the difference between RigER and ERP. The main difference is that we consider ourselves as an extension, operational extension of ERP. The first thing that the ERP focus usually finance and accounting, financial planning, manufacturing. Our focus is the oil field and oil field operations, to be precise. Another difference between RigER and ERP and the needs of the users, the accuracy. So the ERP required accuracy equals 1 cent for management decision making. We usually see that it's enough if you providing numbers faster and rounding them thousands. Definitely the difference is the function. So the ERP is a financial system, RigER is an operational systems, different users and different user experience and purpose. So again, the main focus of the ERP is manufacturing, and it was born in manufacturing, so different industries. RigER is focusing on the oil field only. And in many cases, RigER become the entry point. And in this case, we today is talking about integrations because those two systems work perfectly together when they connect. And when we see how our clients use RigER as an extension of the ERP, we see that they start using mostly this for asset management. We talk about repairs, maintenance, rework, inspections, and other asset management. Field services, definitely it's a big part. And of course, the field services differ in the oil and gas as compared as the HVAC, for example. Scheduling and dispatcher is different in oil and gas and required more deep information. Mobile field operations required offline, online mode and equipment rentals, especially in the oil field, say, for example, downhole tools. It could be a very complex. Time tracking, purchase orders is another big one, and quality management. Time to time, we see that quality corrective actions become a part of RigER operations. So let's talk about existing integrations. The number is growing all the time. We see the big demand. Clients ask us to integrate with the different software, and we right now have 27 integrations, one database connector and one open API. So, and let's talk about this in more detailed fashion. Integration benefits, which we'd like to stress, which we'd like to see, definitely no manual data entry, faster invoicing. We have a client who eliminate those delays from 21 days to the next day invoicing. So, and this is a number one priority. Save time and money as soon as the volume's growing. The streamline the operation, streamline the data flow between systems definitely helps. Eliminate errors. Yeah, we're humans. We do some mistakes, and those eliminations help us to again make our operations accurate, mitigate financial risk, streamline operations, faster data processing, increase productivity and accuracy of the data, and of course the integration between systems give us an ability to easily scale our business. Let's talk about current situation with the RigER integrations, and we have the following groups: the messengers, office, e-signatures, sales tax, accounting, telemetry, e-commerce, DB connector, ERP, and API. And I'd like to pass Mike to Danny, so he will present the first group. And Danny, the floor is yours.
Yes, and in the digital age, it's very common to use a number of Office applications to communicate via email, send data, reports across customers and internal departments. So one of the widely used integrations in RigER is the connection with the Office, and you can create emails and calendar invites, and through those emails, you can export data in terms of documents such as PDFs or Excel, and even use Excel to import a large amount of data, for instance, to update your clients or vendors' details, equipment, services, inventory, etc. So how does it connect? We have a built-in integration with Office, Outlook, and other applications. So a couple of examples. In Outlook, you can create an email and send a PDF of an invoice directly to the customer. So this eliminates the need to save it on your hard drive and then attach it to an email. You can do it directly from RigER, and it expedites your function and workflow. You can use Excel to export reports and data, and even Google Maps link that you can send to, which would be particularly useful for the folks out in the field if they're trying to find a location that they're going to. You can add that there. Furthermore, we have some additional integrations, for instance, with Zoom, so you can keep track of the meeting minutes and attendees, and more. So let's go to the next slide. We'll show you a couple of examples of how this is done. Okay. And what you will see here is when you go into any of the reports in RigER, you can use RigER to generate the report. There are a number of different filters such as periods, departments, etc., that will help you generate a report. And then what's really useful is to export it into Excel so that you can further edit it, parse it out, maybe build a pivot table, and then send it to the rest of your team. And here we will show you the capability of taking any document such as an invoice or a ticket, and the ability to generate a print form, which is in effect a PDF document. And right up there in the buttons above in the header, you can see that you can email it and an Outlook pop-up, in this case, will pop up with an attached invoice, which you can then send to the recipient, add additional recipients, and they will receive this PDF form. You can write your own message and send it out. You can also save that as a PDF on your computer if need to, export it in Excel, or if you have what's particularly useful, if you have additional attendees in here like AP department, etc., you can add these people to the email list. Okay, and on the next slide, we'll show you the data import feature. On the next slide, please. Yep. So with data import, we've got a variety of different Excel templates that you can access here to update your clients, vendors, equipment, locations, assemblies, etc. Through the blue URL link, you can access the Excel template, fill it out, and when you update that file, it will import from Excel in this fashion. So here we are importing 2 customers into RigER with their address and contact information. And once it's all imported, you see them in the list of companies. You can search by your customer and confirm that the import was done successfully. And this can be done, as I said, with hundreds and thousands of rows of data to import through Excel. So another integration is an e-signature, which facilitates the speed of getting a document signed, and no longer you have the need for downloading a PDF, printing it out, sending it to your customer for signature, then scanning it in and adding it to it's a very very long workflow that we simplified by adding GoSign, DocuSign, and PandaDoc integrations so that you could digitally sign documents. We can email them to the customer. It's automatic for them to sign and receive the document back. It's a one-time integration setup, and we have optional custom print form adjustments that we can make. For instance, if you needed a certain signature block with a number of details, we could adjust those print forms. And once it's set up, you can digitally sign those documents. And this automates the job project documents such as RSAs, quotes, proposals in RigER, as well as rental and field tickets, invoices for billing and approvals, your purchase orders, and other documents that require digital signatures. I'd like to pass the mic back to Michael to talk more about other integrations.
Yeah, thank you, Danny. Definitely, some of the integrations looks like a miracle. You press the button and the magic happened. And this is what we do. The next thing is very interesting because and it appears, I believe, like 2 or 3 years when we start receiving the request from clients to do more on mobile instead of entering the system and finding some information there. They ask, okay, how can we reach the database from a mobile phone? And here we have several options. We have connector with the Telegram, the chatbot with Telegram, and the pretty much flow automate in Teams. There are several scenarios how it works, but in many cases, it's the business process notification, business process optimizations, and document approvals, request reports. It required some connection to the Teams or to Telegram, and optional customization. Let me show you the video which explains the way how the Telegram bot works. Yeah. So yeah, the chatbot gives you an ability to create the different reports. We predetermined reports, so we send a command report. So it show you list of reports available, select the report, and the PDF report generated, and you can reach this report in your device. Very simple, very easy. Another scenario we have here, when we have the approval, say we have a PO from the good vendor, and we can review this as a PDF file or just click approve. That simple, or reject, yes, 2 buttons. That simple and easy integration gives a huge speed up of the document approval and PO approval, RSA's approval, you name it. The next thing which I'd like to show you today, I'd like to mention today, it's the sales tax group. We have an Avalara, the tax compliance software, which give us an ability to automatically update sales tax rates based on the location coordinates, or it could be, in many cases, it's the county. So it's a one-time setup, manual or automatic updates, and it works in a way, as soon as the accountant decided to start invoice run, they run the synchronization with Avalara. Avalara provide us the sales tax rate for the active locations. So we only go through the active locations and see if any changes with sales tax rates appears, and synchronize that information. Guarantees that invoice is accurate, and we apply the right tax rates for each invoice. Another interesting integration is the data from the equipment and integration with Samsara and Geotab. In this case, we collecting information from the field about the equipment performance. In many cases, it's integrates. It's a one-way integration, synchronized data from telemetry system. For Geotab, it's usually runs once a day in the midnight, around midnight, and it provides us a current number of hours, which we use further to calculate maintenance cycles of the equipment. So we're receiving hours, see what's what maintenance required, what's the maintenance status, yellow, green, or red, and provide this information next morning to the dispatcher, so the dispatcher can proceed with the maintenance cycles. Another big and probably a number one integration for and most popular for RigER was accounting integration. QuickBooks, Sage, and Traverse. There are three major integrations here. Sage 50, Canadian version, US version. There are several names there, but right now they call it Sage. The accounting integration, so used for export data from RigER, because in many cases RigER become a first data entry system, and it seamlessly transfer data from invoices, in many cases they're invoices, to QuickBooks or Sage. It's a one-time integration setup, usually requires 1 to 2 days. Required mapping items, so we map items in RigER, and it's a probably most time-consuming process. The rest is very simple. For some organizations, if you do not see your accounting software in this list, we have Universal Data Export to CSV, and the information from invoice just goes to this file, and you can adjust the format and then manually upload this to your accounting system. Depending on the accounting systems, it can be a good option. So we usually use one way for desktop application and two way for the cloud applications integrations. So depending on the organization, it could be a different integrations, like a purchase invoice and purchase orders, rental and service invoices, sales invoices, credit memo, and payroll hours. So hours for the payroll calculations. Again, mention two ways and one way integrations. So one way integrations, when we send information just from RigER to ERP accounting system. So we call it one way. And two ways, when the two systems can work and exchange the information together. So we let me give you one example. So for QuickBooks desktop, we usually use one-way integration. So the data flows from RigER to QuickBooks, and it goes with the rental invoices, sales invoices, purchase invoices, and new customer. The QuickBooks Online give us an ability to use two-way integrations, and this information can flow. Say, for example, if you create the customer in RigER and adjust or edit the customer in QuickBooks, it will adjust it in RigER after. Of course, it will require some scenarios and rules. Who can do that? Who couldn't? Who can do the editing? What will be the conflict resolution if you edit simultaneously in RigER and in QuickBooks? So there are several rules behind that, and yeah, we set up those things.
Here's integrated with QuickBooks Online. You can export all your invoices directly from RigER to QuickBooks. So when you have all the invoices generated in RigER, you can go and export them. So only specific users with the assigned right to do that is able to export invoice from RigER to QuickBooks. So the user should go to Oilfield Rentals, scroll down and select Export Data. Here you can select the specific date range for which you want to export the invoices, and you will get the list of all invoices for that date range. You can use the filters to select specific invoices. When you're ready to export, you just select the invoices which you want to export and click Export. Invoice gets exported in a few moments, and you can go right to QuickBooks to check your invoice. So let's update the page of QuickBooks Online. And here we can see the invoice already in QuickBooks. So invoice gets all the details from the RigER invoice, the customer, billing address, all the item lines, and so on. So when invoice is exported from RigER to QuickBooks, you can see it in the invoice that it gets checkmark exported. So usually when invoice is exported, it gets locked from the changes from editing this invoice in RigER. And only specific users has the right to uncheck if needs some changes or to check it back if it requires this specific check mark. So that's how invoices are exported from RigER to QuickBooks.
As you see, this video done 4 years ago, but it's still working that way. It's very simple and very good working integration. So it was our first integration. Since that, we definitely moving forward, and I have a more advanced system connected. And another big thing is integration with the e-commerce platforms like Enverus, Open Invoice, previously Cortex, SAP Ariba. Those are used as a platform to connect operators and vendors and service providers. And of course, for us, it's important to export invoices from RigER and export tickets in some cases, Open Ticket as well, to Open Invoice, Open Ticket, and SAP Ariba. So how does it work? We use the connector platform called Enter My Invoice to connect with the Open Invoice, Open Ticket, and SAP Ariba. Client opened the AMI account, and the AMI start building the integration with every single operator step by step. It will require mapping. Sometimes different operators use different names of the items. Say, for example, the service, we have one name for the service for the one operator and another name of the service for another operator. It's possible to do within RigER, etc. So rental invoices with the attachments, service invoices with attachments, and sales invoices with attachments can be sent to those e-commerce platforms. It's very, very similar, which we just saw. the integration with the QuickBooks, you just go to the submit data and submit invoices, select the period, see where it should goes, add attachments, and send to the open invoice, for example. And another big integration is the ERP. And of course, when we talk about ERP, we have two-way integrations. We import and export data from and to RigER. We sometimes spend and build a separate integration projects for that, identifying the mapping data and integration scenarios. Usually we see several integrations points like purchases, revenue, inventory transactions, and payroll, like those things. Because of the nature of the energy service business, it's very unstandardized, and we have a lot of customization in RigER, and we see a lot of customization in ERP. Every single ERP connection is a separate project. We see lots of variety of discrepancies everywhere, and in this case, we start building and understanding where the data will work. Say, for example, will we use inventory in RigER or will we use inventory in ERP? Both ways works, but again, it will influence the integration and how the integration will work. Another dual application could be a purchase module. So you can run purchases in ERP or you can run purchases in RigER. Pros and cons, but again, it very depends on the company structure and company goals. In many cases, in general, we see that the exchange between RigER and ERP flows in purchases. We have purchase order, BOL, PI, the asset management, and we exchange the information about fixed assets, the way how our assets are organized. Billing and invoices, of course, invoices and revenue goes to the accounts payable. Expense claims, inventory, it could goes and to the expenses and goes to the general ledger or any other documents in ERP. Again, it very depends on what kind of information we'd like to export. Time tracking, hours and rates goes to the payroll, and of course we exchange information about employees and contractors with HR module or different HR systems, which is another future integration, which we already see that integrate with the HR system. The equipment service and inventory, we call it items, and companies, vendors, contractors, customers exchange as well. So before we run the integration projects and start understanding how the data flows, we need to understand the integration points. So here we have 4 integration points, and for each point we identify what kind of information will be exchanged between RigER and ERP. Say, for example, sales and services, we have clients which can both ways and flow from RigER to ERP, from ERP to RigER. Locations only one way, jobs only one way, invoices only one way. Again, it's just an example. The actual integration can be designed in different way, but I just like to explain how it works. Say, for example, for the inventory, we have the inventory exchange departments, quantity and cost. So for this particular case, the RigER calculate or send the parts acquisition document to the ERP, and ERP provide the cost of this part acquisition. So there are so many different options, so many different scenarios, and definitely To run this smoothly, we need to describe this first, understand the integration points, integration triggers, mapping tables, the integration scenarios, integration roles. So understanding who will be able to do what in what system, etc. After this scope is done, and we fully understand how those two systems will work with each other, we create the integration setup, build a mapping table, test and train the users. Usually, we see that even with the ERP integration, it's probably 1 or 2 persons who run those integrations. And of course, when we are done with the integration, we have a fast data flow, minimizing the errors, and we have the error notification system, which I will show you in a second. Data validation, data exchange monitoring and control, streamlined business processes, scalable system for high volume transactions. And based on that, because integration project can be very complex, we can understand what will be our priorities and understand the future development steps. And really excited to present a very new development of RigER, which we asked several times, and right now it's ready. So we have RigER API. So we can use API for data import and export, able third-party connectors can able to connect to RigER and extract information from RigER or add information to RigER. It's a one-time integration setup. We provide the very detailed description, and then the information is available. So how API, application programming interface, works usually. So all the previous connections was RigER integration. So when RigER connects to the ERP API, and we set up everything in our site. When we use RigER API, then ERP connects to RigER and set up everything there. So this is exactly what we're talking about when we build the RigER Open API and explain every single field and how to connect to every single field and what kind of information ERP can extract from RigER. And more advanced and more complex way when we use kind of a middle connector. When what we see, this is mostly for the big organizations with multiple different systems, maybe several ERPs working together. In this case, they use this connector, and the connector just become a hub of the information and data exchange and data flow. And in this case, we have RigER integration to this API and ERP integrations to this API, and the magic happening inside that connector. But we're talking about RigER Open API. We use a Swagger to describe the way how you can communicate to and connect to the to RigER. Say, for example, here we have a table of items, we have table of rental invoices, and one of the example of the item conditions, you see how it's present and describes the each particular condition of the item. Here we have the example of the invoice and how invoice looks like. Again, I will not put lots of technical details here, but just to let you know that it's here, it exists, it's working, and it's ready to go. Another thing which we recently developed, it's the DB connector. We call it a DB connector. When we connect to maybe 3, maybe 4 RigER databases together, when the databases can work together. So in this particular SOPO connector, we automate sales purchase transactions. So in this case, we connect sales orders and purchase sales orders from one database with purchase orders in the another database. So imagine situation that you have two companies running RigER, and one company usually become the supplier for the another. So in this case, with a kind of number of transactions growing, moreover, in some cases, when we send a complex items, for example, an assembly with a list of the components, this information it's really tough to exchange, especially if we talk about 20 components and 25 assemblies. In this case, you have already 500 components in one load, and it's become very time consuming to enter this to the second database. So for that connector, we build a scenario when the supplier provides the information, press the button, and in a couple minutes, the purchase order, bill of lading appear at the vendor at the buyer side, and they can use this information further. And to control all those integrations, again, we have lots of integrations. Definitely not all the integrations connected to the same database, and we see that clients use maybe 5, maybe 10 integrations, and in this case, we need to control every single scenario and understand the results of each particular connector, each particular session. So you can see we have directions, we have the exchange log, understanding was the export or import successful, is any error we see in the counterparty, and this give us understanding of and control of any errors and any issues appear, so we can control that and fix that faster. This is it. Those are our integrations, and we'd like to jump to the Q&A session. And I'd like to ask Dasha if we have any questions.
First one is how we connect general ledger accounts.
It's a good question. Again, it depends on the requirements, and the general ledger, if we talk about, say, very simple integration with the QuickBooks, we connect items, we not connect general ledger accounts, and items in the QuickBooks post those transactions to the general ledger, so that kind of accounting magics happen in the accounting system. But for some organizations, we can create a general ledger records in RigER and send those general ledger extractions to ERP, for example. That happen time to time, but again, it's not common. Usually we use items to do that.
Here is another question from Jad. Is the e-commerce and various integration used mainly for location and mapping?
I believe that we talk about the tickets. It's the integration with e-commerce and various works to provide the information for billing approval. So everything connecting with the locations and mapping. Maybe try to rephrase your question, Jet. I believe it's just the question is about incoming information about locations and mapping. It's possible we had that conversation with Enverus, but I see that most of our clients they prefer to use list of locations, only the current locations. We had one client who asked us to import all ERG locations, and that list was around 1,000, maybe 1,500 locations. And they asked us to kill those things because it was very, very tough to find the right location, because they use only maybe 25, maybe 30 of this list. So it depends. We can do both, but definitely we need to see what is the practical and most easy to use way for the end users.
The next question is, can we transfer invoices from ERP to RigER?
Usually not, because we consider, again, we consider ourselves as an operational system, and invoice is the endpoint of a job process for us, and there is no reason to have those invoices in RigER. So usually we telling that we do not see why we need to do that, because again, all the invoices should be in ERP, and it's a normal, like, logical way how it should work.
Next one, where do we create a customer vendor first?
Good question. So when we talk about customer and vendor, it really depends, and this is why we saw that two-way, so this particular. So if we talk about one-way integration, we will create new client and new vendor in RigER, because the only one way the data will flow. If we talk about two-way integrations, it depends on the client needs, because sometimes we have a situation when we provide this ability to the salesperson, but it will require acceptance from the accountant. So kind of a due diligence process for the client. And after this acceptance, you start creating quotes and start creating equipment shipment. So that it's a two-way process.
The next question is, can an invoice in RigER be marked as paid automatically?
Yes and no. I would not recommend that because in this case, there are several issues appear when we have apportional payments. Say you have 5 invoices for 25 grand and the client paying 20 grand. And accountant will allocate those in the ERP or accounting system in one way, and it should be a kind of a similar situation happen in RigER. And we see that this invoice portionally paid, this invoice closed. So it's not that simple. And again, I would recommend to use this to keep this information in ERP. From another perspective, we can add a payment schedule for each invoice, and it will be store the reconcile paid information. But again, it really depends on the situation and particular needs of the client, because we had one client in Houston and they need to provide this information to their shop in Louisiana about payments, and RigER become that communication tool. So yes and no.
Okay, so I have a question from Penny here. Do you have invoice approvals?
Oh, yes. Invoice approvals or billing approvals, it's very, very popular. And there are several ways how you can approve invoice in RigER. Again, it's a two-way approvals. You can approve invoice internally, check the prices, check the quantities, etc., and approval from the client. So we need to sit down and understand who will do what and how this will looks like. And the digital signature gives us an ability to approve this faster. One of the things which we didn't mention today about digital signature is a digital stamp. So we not only can collect signatures, but the PO number and AFE number, which we have in the engineering stamp on the tickets. So we can build the form where they will enter this information, and it will work. But again, you need to ask your client if they accept digital signatures. Not all the clients accept digital signatures nowadays. The number of clients is growing, but we see some examples. Then it's become an issue. Some of them on purpose ask a wet stamp or wet signature. We probably understand why they do that, but life is life.
Here's a question from Blake. Will there be a transcript of this webinar available online? If so, where will I be able to find it?
Yeah. So the webinar will be available in RigER University next week. So you can go to the webinar section, and you can see the new webinar appear number 145. So after the new release. So yeah, the answer is yes. It will be available for customers and users.
One more question. When is a good time to integrate RigER and ERP?
Good question. From our experience, yeah, definitely. If you run RigER for a number of years, any time is good. But when you just start using RigER, we recommend to have at least 1 or 2 months running RigER and see all possible scenarios to have a full picture inside RigER and understand how we effectively integrate RigER and accounting system or ERP to avoid any discrepancy, any issues, etc. So my recommendation would be maybe 1 or 2 months. If all the transactions are very simple, couple of weeks maybe.
Here's the question. Will you have Salesforce connector or APIs we can integrate with?
A good question. Usually, and this is not that simple. We had several requests to integrate RigER with CRM. It's not only Salesforce, but other CRMs as well. And the question is to identify the flow and identify the data. The problem is that in RigER, to generate invoices, of course, we have a price management module. And in some organizations, the price management become a very big and very, very massive volume of data. To generate quote in CRM, you require this information with all the items, with all the price codes and price rates applying for a particular client, for a particular division, etc. Because we have like 4 different levels of the price levels system. And when we assess this kind of integration, we're trying to figure out what will be the best way to make it. And so far, we just need to have a good scenarios. We just need to have a better understanding what kind of information we need to exchange, because to build the integration is not just to have like synchronize contacts or synchronize clients. It's easy. I do not see any big deal to build that integration with Salesforce. But when we talk about generating quotes and track quotes, approvals, etc., that kind of scenario need to be described and considered in more detailed fashion. So we do not have that kind of request so far, but everything is possible.